A distressed patient once walked into a quiet office, moving with an air of hesitancy. Fear clung to him like a second skin. His voice trembled as he recounted a recurring nightmare in which he stood in a dim passageway, gripped by a furious urge to strike a faceless figure, blocking his path. Each time he fought that urge, the desperation only grew stronger, and he soon realized he no longer recognized himself when anger seized control. Terrified of where this hidden rage might lead, he turned to professional help in hopes of discovering a way to reclaim a sense of stability. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow offers a vital clue to such internal turmoil. Strong emotions and unruly impulses seldom vanish through simple denial. They burrow deep and manifest in sudden outbursts or paralyzing fears. Everyone carries a shadow, Jung wrote, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Suppressed feelings and secret longings store tremendous energy behind the scenes, waiting for vulnerable moments to break loose. Unacknowledged facets of the psyche can be lethal when their rightful place in conscious awareness goes unaddressed. Yet the willingness to investigate uncomfortable corners of one's mind unlocks the possibility of transformation. Openness to even the most unsettling emotions illuminates pathways for genuine healing and self-understanding, an ongoing journey that leads to deeper recognition of personal dimensions and hidden qualities. Many people feel blindsided by moments of uncontrollable rage or crippling self-doubt. It seems as though an invisible force wields power in the background. Carl Jung captured this phenomenon by defining the shadow as that part of personality relegated to the unconscious, because it conflicts with conscious self-image. Someone who prides themselves on kindness may find it scandalous to consider their potential for cruelty. However, these rejected traits do not disappear. They remain buried, only to surface in abrupt outbursts or unsettling dreams. Indications of one's personal shadow often appear through moral conflicts and sudden emotional surges. Picture the quiet co-worker who erupts in fury at a minor critique, or the reserved friend who flies into a jealous rage when another gains the spotlight. Awareness of these dormant or unseemly qualities offers an antidote. By naming the beast lurking in the basement, you reclaim a measure of control and lessen its toxic impact. Human beings sometimes project their own denied traits onto convenient targets. You might notice intense dislike for someone who exhibits characteristics subtly present in your hidden self. A disdain for arrogance, for instance, may reflect unacknowledged vanity. Extreme moral righteousness might mask unconfessed guilt. Jungians speak of projection as a natural but misleading psychological defense that pushes uncomfortable truths outside personal awareness. Upon reflection, however, the logic behind it becomes evident. Owning personal shortcomings proves painful, so the psyche attempts to evade them. Acceptance of the personal shadow promotes integration. You acknowledge every piece of your psychological puzzle, rather than pretending that only the acceptable parts count. This integration fosters integrity and stability. Those who manage to face inner darkness also tap dormant energies that enhance empathy, creativity, and emotional depth. Jung pointed out that positive traits, too, can hide in the shadow if societal rules or personal beliefs deem them unacceptable. Assertiveness or ambition might be relegated to the shadows when someone grows up equating confidence with arrogance. Recognizing that shadow work involves discovering hidden treasures alongside confronting unwelcome impulses can be both liberating and transformative. Within Jung's conceptual framework, the personality comprises an array of structures in constant interplay. The persona represents the socially constructed face presented to the world, shaped by cultural demands and personal inclinations. You might consider how a professional identity or charming social mask can conceal raw vulnerability. Behind that facade lies the ego, functioning as the executive center of consciousness. Alongside the ego resides the shadow, holding elements denied by conscious identity. An additional layer appears in the form of the anima, or the animus. That aspect represents the soul image, the inner counterpart of the external gender identity. It often communicates with consciousness through dreams and can be projected onto individuals in real life. These layers combine to form a multifaceted psyche, where repressed qualities gather in the shadow and reveal themselves through symbols, fantasies, or abrupt emotional reactions. On occasion, people come face to face with the shadow during moments of crisis or self-doubt, prompting them to seek deeper answers. Echoing earlier statements, Jung highlights that acknowledging dark impulses serves not to glorify them, but to prevent tragedy. If an inferiority is conscious, one always has a chance to correct it, wrote Jung. But if it is repressed and isolated from consciousness, it never gets corrected and is liable to burst forth suddenly. The impetus for shadow integration grows from the recognition of potential harm unleashed by disowned aspects of the self. You might notice that unaddressed anger can poison relationships, or that unacknowledged envy sows bitterness. An effective path forward involves balancing recognition with responsibility. Some find it enlightening to keep a journal and record moments of turmoil, strong reactions, or unexpected fantasies. Patterns often emerge, revealing the footprints of the shadow. Others turn to dream interpretation, noticing symbolic characters or situations that mirror neglected traits. Bringing unconscious material to light can feel uncomfortable, yet the result is increased authenticity. Shadow integration calls for honesty, courage, and compassion. The individual refrains from judgment and engages the hidden side with curiosity. Such engagement paves the way toward self-awareness, emotional stability, and a greater sense of inner unity. Confronting one's personal shadow lays the groundwork for tackling a more extensive concept, the collective shadow. Societies, just like individuals, harbor disowned tendencies, prejudices, cultural blind spots, and unacknowledged historical traumas. These collective elements remain submerged until external pressures expose them. Overt hostility can erupt in mass violence, systemic injustice, or the normalization of inhumane practices. Jung's cautionary observations about humanity's destructive potential echo loudly in the modern world. History abounds with examples of cultural eruptions that reveal repressed societal shadows. Oppressive regimes, racism, and ideological persecutions frequently evolve when entire groups turn their unexamined fears or desires into actions. Jung, reflecting on periods of global unrest, noted that mankind is the greatest threat to itself. Psychological ignorance paves the way for catastrophes, for it emboldens individuals to follow the tide of collective aggression without question. You might recall historical incidents in which ordinary citizens participated in brutal acts, spurred by propaganda or peer pressure. That phenomenon underscores the terrifying power of the shadow en masse. Recognizing this collective dimension should prompt reflection on personal accountability. Each individual who strives to integrate their own shadow contributes to a more stable social fabric. People who own their anger or confront their prejudices become less likely to inflict them upon others. Jung described how analyzing patients' dreams sometimes enabled him to predict societal turmoil. Patterns in the unconscious of individuals would mirror a broader wave of cultural upheaval. This interlinked nature of psyche and society offers a sobering truth. Ignorance of the shadow can have devastating consequences far beyond the personal sphere. Deep healing at the collective level demands truth-telling, reconciliation, and a willingness to bear the weight of past transgressions. Apologies or public ceremonies mean little if they remain hollow gestures. Real progress requires facing the darkest chapters in a nation's history and acknowledging how they continue to affect present conditions. You might reflect on how thorough self-examination influences interpersonal relationships and fosters empathy toward different groups. Embracing responsibility for collective shadows can inspire reforms and cross-cultural dialogue. Resilience grows when individuals and communities learn to weave understanding and accountability into public discourse. Everyday life offers plentiful opportunities to notice shadow elements. Sudden moments of tension, surprising emotional outbursts, or a gnawing sense of discomfort often point to traits that have been overlooked. Rather than dismiss such signals, you can investigate them. A consistent journaling habit allows one to track recurring triggers and begin identifying patterns of avoidance. Inner work sometimes includes examining resentments toward others, which might mask anger that has not been owned. Carl Jung's guidance resonates. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Dreams also act as crucial guides on the journey to integrating the shadow. Individuals report that figures of the same gender in their dreams occasionally highlight hidden traits or moral shortcomings. Carefully recalling and analyzing nightly visions provides a window into the psyche's uncharted territories. Some find it beneficial to share these dreams with a trusted mentor or therapist. Dialogues centered on dream symbols can illuminate ways that the shadow influences personal choices. This gradual process draws clarity from confusion and teaches humility. Facing limitations and acknowledging the potential for both kindness and cruelty fosters a grounded sense of self. Beyond personal efforts, the beneficial effects of shadow work spill over into social relationships. People who develop awareness of their darker sides become more tolerant of differences and less prone to judging others prematurely. Compassion arises naturally when it is recognized that everyone wrestles with complexities. Jung's wisdom points to this moral foundation. Integration of the shadow can transform destructive impulses into empathy and creative energy. The more individuals do this work, the greater the chance that communities nurture harmony and mutual understanding. This collective shift does not emerge overnight, but every small step matters. A life dedicated to the honest pursuit of inner truth paves the way for authentic selfhood. Denying uncomfortable feelings or impulses might seem simpler at first glance, but that path leads to fragmentation and suffering. Recognizing these darker dimensions and harnessing their energy can invigorate personal growth. Jung argued that psychological wholeness is incomplete without the reconciled shadow. Venturing into those depths can be daunting, yet it yields profound rewards. With patience, courage, and reflection, the hidden self can become an ally rather than an enemy. That transformation allows one to step into the person they were once afraid to be, whole, integrated, and genuinely alive.